That was Riding Home with the Reader. We are live off the floor at Conquerall Music for the Conquerall Mills Music Show on 88.7 Cove FM and online at covefm.com. Tonight's featured guests are Hank Middleton featuring the Ladies of Collage with special guest John Barr for an evening of Middletunes.
You have built up the nation, taking people and goods across this land. You have blessed our creation with the future delivered by your hand. Taking food to the townsfolk, all the products out to the hinterland. With your steam and your coal smoke, as you chucked up along the timberland. Can you hear the locomotive, steel on steel, rolling down the track? Lonesome wail of the whistle ain't coming back. Setting out from the station, across the trestle, across Riviere Yard. Give that engine hydration, gotta build up the steel to hold those cars. Can you hear locomotives, steel on steel, rolling down the track? Lonesome wail of the whistle ain't coming back. Gone and neglected, and the trestle's been beaten and torn down. The water tank's been dissected, still in memories that engine comes to town. Can you hear locomotives, steel on steel, rolling down the track? Lonesome wail of the whistle ain't coming back. Thank you very much, folks. That's a little song about trains and how trains have disappeared. And I actually wrote that for a show I did in Cape Breton called Quirky Look at Richmond County. And when I was a kid, the train would come into St. Peter's, and that didn't last very long, and now trains are just about nowhere. So I figured trains deserve the tune, and that's a good beat for a train song, I think.
I agree with you 100%. So that song was called Trains by my guest tonight, Hank Middleton. Thank you so much for coming in and being on the show.
It's always fun to go out and play a few tunes, as they would say in Cape Breton.
So I'll start you off with a little bit of an easy one, Hank. Where are you from originally? I know that you've lived in Nova Scotia your whole life, but where in Nova Scotia are you from?
If I told people where I was from, they wouldn't know. I'm from a little place called Les Îlots, or Three Island Cove, which is part of Rockdale, which is in the parish of Lardoise, which is in Cape Breton Island, Richmond County. That's where I'm from. But I've been on the South Shore for a long, long time, since 1973.
How did you wind up on the South Shore, Hank?
I got a job teaching, and I had 4 or 5 jobs that year, but this was the only one that allowed me to teach history, which is what I studied in university. So that's why I came here. Came to Lunenburg, actually.
Perfect.
And of course, once you come to Lunenburg County, you don't want to leave.
What are you going to play for us next, Hank?
I'm going to do a song that's a dedication to Stan Rogers. I was a big fan of Stan Rogers. He simply told stories about the country, various parts of the country, from the north to the west coast to the east coast. And he was quite fond of the east coast because his folks came from Guysborough County. And all the members of Collage are also big fans of Stan. We do a couple of his tunes, so I sort of amalgamated a lot of his tunes and put them together. So we're going to do a song called Stan.
Excellent.
Out in Macon Bray, times are tough, but the white squall up the sea's rough, and in Fogarty's Cove, folks there have a plan for tiny fish caught for Japan. In the valley, folks watch apples grow once the field behind the plow is sown, while the baby swing-o-matic chair keeps time to Harris and the mayor and the missus. She still hates those lines, but after 45 years she still looks fine, while the idiot still takes his stroll while the night guard's not out on patrol. Yes, I was captured by the moment. His song spoke to me of this land with words of love and tales of torment. Oh, I want to live. Oh, I want to give like Stan. While the Jeannie C pitched on her side, the Mary Ellen Carter was revived, and as Barrett's crew railed for their loss, we saw Franklin perish in the frost as the Blue Nose sailed out with the tide. The candle burned out when he died. Yes, I was captured by the moment. I placed that guitar in my hands, where I became his best proponent. Oh, I want to play, strum my life away like Stan. Like all of us, Stan had his faults. He was known to roar and he cussed a lot, loved the land, the sea, and his family, and those large and small in our history. Yes, he liked his grog and he chugged his beer, but the ladies said, you can't stay here. Yes, I was captured by the moment. My thoughts brought lyrics to my hands. I carve a tune and I could own it. Oh, I want to write with a second sight like Stan. Yes, I'm still captured by his moments. The voices given by this man, the tunesmith and the burly poet, with a path more clear for your being here. Thanks, Stan. Yes, the path's more clear for your being here. Thanks, Stan. So, needless to say, I am a Stan fan.
And that song was entitled Stand by our featured performer tonight, Hank Middleton. Hank, this evening you're playing selections from your CD Middle Tunes as well as from other projects that you're involved with. But I just want to touch briefly, you've got 2 Middle Tunes CDs now that you made?
2 Middle Tunes CDs and 1 Collage CD. Trains is from Middle Tunes 2, and Stand is from Middle Tunes 2 as well.
Can you tell me a little bit about the recording process for Middle Tunes 2? Because that's your most recent piece of work for Middle Tunes, so I just want to know a little bit more about that.
Well, actually, Middle Tunes 1, Middle Tunes 2, and Collage to a certain extent, it's just getting a bunch of friends together. I like to write. That's what I really enjoy doing. And I'm fortunate that I have friends like John and Pat, who just came in, and of course all the ladies in Collage that do my tunes and put up with me when I come up with a new tune. So when I've done the CDs, after we finished the Collage CD in 2009, there wasn't interest in doing another Collage CD, but I was interested in getting some of the stuff I wrote on a CD. So all the gals helped me out. John was on that CD. A friend of mine from Louisiana, Lee Benoit, and I recorded at Jude Pelly's studio down in West Dublin. So I had a lot of folks from Lunenburg County on it, and they all thought I was whacked out because I did 19 cuts on that CD. And then when we went to Middle Tunes 2, we did the same thing. I've got the folks from Collage. Pat did a tune on my CD. John did a couple, and I did quite a few. And so it's all folks from Lunenburg County, except, of course, I should also mention my brother played bass, and my sister-in-law sang lead on a couple of tunes as well. So I call it Hank Middleton with family and friends, members of Collage, and whoever walks in the door.
And you actually have a little bit of a unique distinction for this particular program because Patrick, who you mentioned is sitting here in our audience tonight, was my guinea pig for the very first show that I did. So he had to suffer through all the terrible questions and all my humming and hawing and stuff like that. But during that show, we actually played a couple cuts off of his CD. So this is actually the second time that you've been on the show, whether you're aware of it or not. But
I heard some cuts on Cove FM. I played guitar on the cut that I heard on the radio. So yeah, sounded familiar.
What do you have next for us, Hank? What are you going to play for us?
I think it's very important for people who live in Atlantic Canada to have music and art and literature and poetry that reflects the area. We're in a global society, so people seem to write a lot of things about Los Angeles and London and Paris. But I like to keep things close to home. And I'm a very proud Cape Bretoner, and I always say that Cape Breton is the jewel of Nova Scotia. But I did write a song called Canada's Ocean Playground. I wrote a play for my sister-in-law who does some music in Cape Breton. And I was looking for a theme because I had run out of ideas. And I looked at the license plate one day and I said, there it is, Canada's Ocean Playground. So I wrote some music and words and some skits about Nova Scotia, and I needed a theme song, so I wrote one, and this is it, Canada's Ocean Playground. Get some. We've done this song live quite a few times, and usually get a good response. John and I played last night, and this is one of the tunes we did. Dedicated to Nova Scotia. 2, 3, 4. I long to hear the ocean waves that greet the shore, where seabirds soar. I can hear that roar, the cool Atlantic breezes knocking at my door, out in Canada's ocean playground. To know the present season isn't here to stay, feel it change each day in the smallest of ways. Yes, there's a piece of heaven on some sheltered bay, out in Canada's ocean playground. From Lansing down in Yarmouth to the valleys for a fair, to the highlands of Cape Breton and the fauna roaming there, to the southern, eastern, northern shores that hug a rugged coast, there's a place you love the most. Through times in Acadie and Cayley's in the glen, you may roam, but then you'll be back again, a compass pointing eastward where the journey ends, out in Canada's ocean playground. from Lansing down in Yarmouth to the valleys for a fair, to the highlands of Cape Breton and the fauna roaming there, to the southern, eastern, northern shores that hug our rugged coast. There's a place you love the most. I long to hear the ocean waves that greet the shore, where seabirds soar. I can hear that roar. The cool Atlantic breeze is knocking at my door, out in Canada's ocean playground. The cool Atlantic breeze is knocking at my door, out in Canada's ocean playground. Here in Canada's ocean playground, out in Canada's ocean playground. Little tribute to Nova Scotia.
That was beautiful, Hank. That was Canada's Ocean Playground by my guest tonight, Hank Middleton. You are here this evening with a couple of special guests. We've got the ladies of Collage, and we've also got John Barr here, who's going to step in and do a couple tunes with you in a little bit. But I'd just like to get a little bit more information. Can you tell me a little bit about Collage and that project?
Certainly, Collage started out in about 2008, and it was a quartet. And they were looking for a bass player. So I joined the group as a bass player and played for a couple of years. We played under the name of Sweet Harmony. And the group was open to original tunes. So that really, that lit my fire. That made me interested.
Sneak a couple middle tunes in there.
and we did that. Every performance, we'd sneak a couple in. And lately, we've been able to do quite a few. People are getting used to those tunes. So we've been going since, like I said, 2008. We're now a quartet. And what I like the fact is that we have a lot of harmonies. We don't have a lot of instruments, but we do have a lot of harmonies, and that's fun as well. And I also play with John as a duo sometimes, John Barr. And the odd time I'll play guitar for Patrick. Mm-hmm. And John and I also play with a group called Celtic Eclectic, which is also a lot of fun. So we mix it up. In Lunenburg County, every musician knows every musician because we tend to go out and support each other with different events. So, yeah, Collage has been together for a long time. We have a lot of fun. We're certainly not making a living at it, but we're having loads of fun.
That's the name of the game right there. As long as you're having fun and enjoying it, then it's not so bad.
It's not so bad.
And you said that you're actually working on a CD with these ladies for Collage. You're in the midst of recording something there?
I'm in the midst of recording a CD, and I've temporarily named it Songs in the Key of C. My attempt was to do a lot of songs about Nova Scotia and songs that were nautical in nature and songs that have something to do with the ocean. I may change my mind. I think I have too much material. We have two cuts done. One is a tribute to the men who went down in the Miss Alley off of Yarmouth, a crew of 5 really young guys. It really moved me when it happened. So we had done that a couple of years ago. And of course, the second one is Canada's Ocean Playground. We already have that one pretty much in the bag. And actually, I've used it I'm going to be using that song for a national conference out in British Columbia. So it's going to get some use.
Excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're actually getting up to where our first break happens in the show. So we're going to take our first break on the Conquerall Mills Music Show. Please stay tuned for more music from Hank, Janet, Sharon, Vonda, and John after these messages. We are back live off the floor for the Conquerall Mills Music Show featuring Hank Middleton, the ladies of Collage, and special guest John Barr. Hank, I know you have a love of writing and arranging music. How did you get your start in music?
That's a funny story, actually. A friend of mine who had absolutely no aptitude towards music, but a lot of aptitude towards hockey, got a guitar as a gift, which I quickly borrowed. And a lot of nights I would lay in bed, fall asleep trying to play the bloody thing. And I wasn't making much progress, but the local pastor played guitar a bit. He was a big John Allen Cameron fan. And he showed me G, C, and D. And that was it. So I worked it from there. I haven't taken a lesson in my life. Sometimes it shows. But what the pastor did was really incredible for the time back in the 60s. A bunch of us decided we wanted to have a band because everybody had to have a band in the 60s. Of course, we had no money. And he co-signed for a loan for $500. And with the $500, we went down to McKnight's in Sydney, and we got a bass, a guitar, 2 old amps, and a rickety old set of drums, and 1 microphone, and a little sound system. $500 went a long way. And we actually played quite a bit, and that's how I started. I was a bass player. I was the only guy to get a new instrument.
And where do you draw your inspiration from your for your music when you're writing songs? What well do you tap to do that?
There's a lot of wells, actually.
Some are drilled, some are dug. You know.
Well, yeah. Basically, just life, looking around. For me, history is very important. Obviously, I'm involved with Glimpses, and I wrote music for Lunenburg Dinner Theater, so I like to draw on my background in history. That's really important. I like to make social commentaries, and as you probably know from the Glimpses, from the Middleton CDs, there's always a message or a story. Mm-hmm. I like a message or a story in a song and a nice melody to drive it. So that's where I get my inspiration from, and I usually sit down and noodle and get a melody first, and then something will pop into my head. And once it pops into my head, I'm done. I have to stick with it. And one song I wrote called Corporal Davis, I had music for about 6 months, and I just sat down, and the words came to me. And I picked up my pen, and I wrote furiously, and it was my dad's favorite song. So that's how it happens, life. Not too much introspective, but just observations, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And that's, the best the best art. They always say that art imitates life, and somehow through that process, life winds up imitating art. It kind of goes back and forth a little bit there.
I think it's important to have songs that represent who you are, where you live, the province and the area of the country in which you live, because a lot of the global stuff, it has nothing to do with us. And again, I think culturally we need art and music and drama. We need to see a reflection of ourselves somewhere, and there seems to be less and less of that. So I think what Cove FM is doing, allowing local artists an opportunity to expose what they create, is very, very important.
Oh, yeah, and like I said, can't give enough love to Cove FM for allowing me to run the show on their station. Like I said, I always say I'm not sure that they were really prepared for what they were getting into when I approached them and said that I'm going to be doing a show, but certainly thankful for it, and glad that they're showcasing lots of the local talent that we have around here. You've got John Barr on stage with you now. Before you launch into your next song, can you tell me a little bit how you and John came together?
John owned a restaurant, and I went to play at his restaurant doing a solo gig, which always gave me great trepidation because I like playing with other folks. But I got through the gig, and halfway through the night, he came out and he started singing a few tunes, and I realized he was a fantastic singer. And we became friends, and he's done a couple of songs on each of my CDs, and we do play together quite a bit and hang out. And this song, I write a lot of songs that I can't sing. My vocal range is not great, so I get the ladies to do them, or I find John or Pat or somebody who can deliver on those tunes. Because like I said before, writing the songs are important. This one is all about how when you're a kid, you're always in a rush for life to pass by quickly so you can become independent, be your own boss, make your own money, call your own shots. And as you go through life, you start seeing that disappearing, and then you get older and you realize, man, time flies. Maybe I was in a rush. I was in too much of a rush for time to go by. And that's what the song's all about. Actually, Jude says it's one of my best tunes, and so I'm inclined to agree with him, I guess.
And what's this one called?
Time Flies. Mr. John Barr on lead vocals.
Once you were a child, wishing time would fly to come into your own, playing through each day trying to have your way, for seeds they must be sown. Always game to try, reaching for the sky. How could you have known? With its own design, time flies. You have found your place, been battered by the race, and juggled all your lives. There has been success, but there have been regrets, and there were times to cry. Lived through hopes and fears, through the busy years. You made it through the trials, but you can't deny time flies. You look back on the past, where changes came so fast. Was it love that made you wise? And you realize time flies. Yes, you've done your best, now you deserve the rest, as the truth is in your eyes. For you realize time flies. It's been quite the ride. Oh, but time flies.
It's a pretty emotional song. It means a lot more when you're older than when you're 8, because you want time to fly.
That song was called "Time Flies" by Hank Middleton and featured John Barr singing. Hank, I know that you sort of operate in multiple configurations as an artist. I've seen you perform as a solo performer. I've seen you as part of like duos and trios, and I know that you collaborate with a lot of people. Out of all those different iterations of ways to play, I guess, which one of those do you prefer the most, or do you like a little bit about each one?
Least favorite would be solo, by a long shot. Most favorite would be playing, but I enjoy the fact that I play with different people. My tastes in music are varied. Everything except rap and opera. That would be anything in between. And so an opportunity to play with different people expands and stretches you. Mm-hmm. And of course, I don't consider myself a great vocalist, so I want to hang out with people who are good singers and can do a good job in my tunes. Mm-hmm. That's basically what I'm interested in.
What about from the songwriting aspect of things? Again, we've touched on your love of writing and arranging music. Do you find that collaborating with someone else is helpful, or do you generally like to be sort of left alone when you're writing your songs?
I think most songwriters would agree that they need to be left alone. But friends are really useful in terms of recommending things, maybe changing a word here or there, or and what I do with a lot of writers, I tend to make recommendations on the music part of it. Because I've been at this game a long time. So that's that's my focus. I'm quite happy being a guitar player for John Barr, or playing lead for Pat, or playing guitar for the gals. But I'm most happy doing stuff that I create. And I tell people, if you're a painter, you don't want to go out and paint somebody else's work. And if you're a sculptor, you don't want to go out and sculpt somebody else's stuff. So as a writer, most writers want an opportunity to go out and do what they create.
Yes.
And there's a lot of satisfaction in saying, there was nothing before, and now I have a song. You're creating something.
Well, I'll turn things back over to you. What are you going to play for us next, Hank?
Well, you know I'm from Cape Breton, and Cape Breton has always had a tough kick in the pants from an economic point of view, and we had large families, and people had to leave. It didn't matter if you were Acadian or Irish or Mi'kmaq. A lot of people left to go work. Scots in particular left Nova Scotia, and a lot of them went down. A lot of folks from Cape Breton and the Maritimes went down to the Boston States to work. And I was thinking about some folks of Scottish heritage who back in the 40s and 50s had no work, and they came from large families, and the oldest one always had to go away and make money. And they normally stayed single, and they normally sent a lot of money back home to keep the home fires going. So I wrote a song called Highland Home. And of course, the Scots, a lot of Scots became dislocated from Scotland to Cape Breton, and now we have another sort of relocation. And this is one of my favorite songs, and John does a fabulous job on this song, Highland Home.
I long to see those hills again, the morning mist heavy on the glen, those fertile fields tilled by hardy men, in my Highland home, the sturdy barn and the greenery, the sandy beach fondled by the sea, this domicile for the family, in my Highland home, where I grew to be a man. Our forefathers with their hands slew the forest and worked the land, never more to roam. But things were tough in 29, must to feed just to stay alive, and I would leave it all behind. Yes, my Highland home, where I grew to be a man. Our forefathers with their hands slew the forest and worked the land, never more to roam. So I went to the Boston States, got up early and worked to lead, and sent home most of what I'd make to my Highland home. And I grew to be a man in this urban foreign land, like forefathers of my clan, longing for my home. But I returned in 65, a life of toil just to be alive. In solitude I can now survive, in my Highland home, where I grew to be a man. Our forefathers with their hands slew the forest and worked the land, never more to roam. So now I see those hills again. The morning mist heavy on the glen, those fertile fields tilled by hearty men. In my Highland home, in my Highland home, in my Highland home.
Makes sense to have a Scotsman singing that song, doesn't it?
And that was Highland Home, written by Hank Middleton and sung by John Barr. I've got one more question here. We're about to hit our last break for the show, but and we haven't really touched on this yet. You're actually fluently bilingual, which fact
Yes.
I am quite jealous of. Is it easier to write songs in French versus English or English versus French, or is it a little bit of give and take when you do things like that?
I think it's because we use English so much. It's much easier to do it in English, but it's certainly very doable in French. And in the last 10 or 12 years, I've written a lot of songs in French because we perform in French. Actually, last summer, we performed on a vessel that was in Lunenburg from France, and they wanted music all in French. And we did 2 solid hours of music in French. And that was a treat. It was called a harmonie. Great.
Well, we got time for one more song before we hit the breakout. What are you going to play for us next, Hank?
I'm going to do a song called Café des Amis. And this song is a really interesting tune. My wife and I love to go down to Louisiana, and there's a place in Pombro or Bro Bridge where on Saturday morning they have Zydeco music. It's called a Zydeco breakfast. And love to go to that place because, well, first of all, there's a lot of people there, but multi-generational, lots of people from different ethnicities and cultures all together, dancing, having fun, pretty good food. And as soon as you're done eating, you got to leave because there's people lined up, and you have a choice: you either leave the building or you go on the dance floor. And it's 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Think of it now, it's 8 o'clock in the morning and the bar is open, guys. So I wanted to write a song about this place. It's called Café des Amis, and it's off of the Middleton's 2 CD. It's off of one of them. Anyway, it's off the latest one. And I had a friend from Louisiana by the name of Lee Benoit who plays Cajun accordion, and he put Cajun accordion on this, and he really made the song sing. So we're going to do Café des Amis. C'est un samedi matin, puis on est fatigué, mais on se lève quand même pour un petit déjeuner. Nous allons au Pombro, la musique est si bonne, danser aux haricots, on va avoir de la fun. Y'aura pas d'haricots, puis y'aura pas de soucis, y'aura que le haricots au café des amis. Tu really je t'écris, mais comme le vieux Cléo, c'est lui qui mène le groupe sur son accordéon. Y'aura pas d'haricots, puis y'aura pas de soucis, y'aura que le haricots au café des amis. Je joue des tambours, il frappe des batteries, guitare et contrebasse, il joue avec l'esprit. Yes, it's a Saturday, I like to stay in bed. We had a fade dough, I got an aching head. A café des amis, they played a Zydeco, We're on a Cajun spree and heading for Pombro. Yarapa de Rico, Piora Patsusi, Yarakla Sadico, O Cafe des Amis. Yarapa de Rico, Piora Patsusi, Yarakla Sadico, O Cafe des Amis. O Cafe des Amis, O Cafe des Amis, O Cafe des Amis, O Cafe des Amis. Merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup.
And that was, I'm going to try to do it justice, Cafe des Amis?
Café des Amis, c'est ça.
Yes. Win the game there. That was Cafe des Amis by Hank Middleton. Please stay tuned to Cove for more music from Hank after the break. And we are back on the Conquerall Mills Music Show with my guests tonight, Hank, Janet, Sharon, Fonda, and John. What are you going to play for us next, Hank?
Going to do a tune called Rainy Afternoon, a little jazz tune. It's a rainy afternoon, it's nice to take it slow and hide out from the fray. I gotta take some time to play on a rainy afternoon. This rainy afternoon gives one a chance to pause, a reason to delay. You can wash your blues away on a rainy afternoon. A rainy afternoon can brighten up your life and soothe a weary soul. A rainy afternoon can turn her on to right, a mountain to a molehill. A rainy afternoon will help the flowers grow and rivers wind their way. Oh, the clouds will lighten up their stay on a rainy afternoon. Soul. A rainy afternoon can turn her on to right, a mountain to a molehill. A rainy afternoon will help the flowers grow and rivers wind their way. All the clouds will lighten up their stay on a rainy afternoon. Oh, I gotta find some time to play on a rainy afternoon. Such a rainy afternoon. Love that rainy afternoon. What a rainy afternoon. Yes, a rainy afternoon. Thanks, folks. Love those jazzy type tunes, really do.
Sounded great.
Probably one of my favorite styles of music to play.
That was Rainy Afternoon, written by Hank Middleton. We talked earlier in the show about where you draw inspiration from for writing songs, but I'm wondering who influences you and what do you draw upon in terms of like your musical influences and your roots for playing?
Basically, the Celtic-based stuff, it comes from growing up in Cape Breton and hearing a lot of that stuff on the radio and hearing folks play it. And the Cajun stuff comes from my Acadian background and trips to Louisiana. But probably my biggest influence was the Ed Sullivan Show, and on the Ed Sullivan Show, the Beatles. Always loved the Beatles, loved their progression and their evolution as a band, from simplistic music and melodies and lyrics into very, very complicated, almost bizarre stuff. I know some of the stuff I didn't like when I was younger, I really appreciate now, and some of the earlier stuff I find it kind of cheesy. But I love their evolution. In terms of people that write about the country, Stan Rogers, obviously, Lightfoot, and I'm also a big J.P. Cormier fan. He writes about us, which I really enjoy. And oddly enough, I like big bands. I like Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I like classic country. I'm not a big fan of new country. I was a big Merle Haggard fan. Loved Merle Haggard as a writer. He wrote stuff that I could relate to. He was telling the story always. So and a lot of music. John and I were listening to some music coming in, Herman's Hermits, and I thought they were fantastic as a kid. But my taste for bubblegum music is gone. It's not there anymore. So the music you like when you're 13 is not the same music you like when you're 25 or 45 or 65. And I probably have swung more to traditional music and jazzy, bluesy stuff, influenced and to some extent by some of the members of the band, I would think.
Well, let's get another song from you all. What are you going to play for us next, Hank?
Sharon's going to take the lead on this one, and when we play in public, actually the girls sing more than I do. I do a lot of my own tunes, but Sharon has done 3 or 4, Janet's done a couple, Vonda's done 1. Vonda sings low harmony. This song is called If I Told You So, and I think it's a very moving song because it's based on a CBC documentary I saw about a lady who left big city, I believe it was Winnipeg, and she married a farmer, and the farmer had inherited the farm from his dad, and they were struggling to make ends meet, as farmers tend to do. Everything is amalgamated and consolidated, and it's hard for a small farmer to make a living. And it brought with living on the farm brought some problems because you had some urban thinking and some rural thinking, and one person wanted to sell and one person wanted to stay, and just maybe a hard time holding it all together. So this song is called If I Told You So.
We met one cold day in November. You were in town to sign the deed. We married next year in December. You promised me your city wife, that we could work and make a life from those fertile fields. Yes, we were young and we were willing to give our all to keep the land. For generations had been living upon this rich, productive soil. You swore that by our sweat and toil we could make a stand.
If I told you so, I would never lie. For I cross my heart, I'll cry out to my God and touch the sky. And if times get bad, I will not let go. I would rather die if I told you so.
Then came the drought of '87, and now we had 2 kids in tow. We cried our prayers up to heaven, a flood of bills but never rain. You took a job in town to pay
I want to stay.
It seems I can't go on this way. Does he really know? If I told you so, I would never lie. For I've crossed my heart, I'll cry out to my God and touch the sky. And if times get bad, I will not let go. I would rather die if I told you so. This lonely pew gives consolation, a place where falling tears aren't seen. I should be gone for desperation, but his word like a melody keep reflecting back at me, and I cannot leave. If I told you so, I would never lie. For I've crossed my heart, I'll cry out to my God and touch the sky. And if times get bad, I will not let go. I would rather die if I told you so. If I told you so, I would never lie. For I've crossed my heart, I'll cry out to my God and touch the sky. And if times get bad, I will not let go. I would rather die if I told you so. I would rather die if I told you so. Thank you.
That song's off Middleton's 1. Yeah, first Middleton's.
And it was called If I Told You
So.
So. Again, written by Hank Middleton, featuring Sharon on the lead vocals. Sounded absolutely great. Hank, I want to know, what have you got coming up for gigs over the summer? Anything on the go that you want to mention to the folks out there?
Well, yeah, first of all, three of us, Sharon and Janet and I, are part of the Glimpses show.
Yes.
How many folks have seen the Glimpses show? It is very, very popular show. It's all about Lunenburg County. It's going into its 10th and last season, and we're certainly very proud of that show because it rates 5 on TripAdvisor. It's actually the only 5-star activity in Lunenburg. Ooh. And that's an interesting story. I came into that event as a bass player again, and after a year, I had a couple of songs in there, and now I co-write that show with John Allen and Dave Brumwell, and I usually do all the arrangements. Pat's also involved in that as the guitarist with the orchestra. He and I are the orchestra. And very, very popular show, but it's all about Lunenburg County. It's mostly comedy. There's a couple of serious parts, and we take historical events and we kind of twist them around to make them funny. And if you want to check it out online, just go on Glimpses TripAdvisor and you'll see all the reviews there. Reviews are very good. We're doing that all summer. We start on July the 4th, every Tuesday and Thursday, and it starts at 7:30, but come early. There's only 100 seats, and a lot of our shows are sold out. And this year, last show, it's going to be sold out. A couple of other things happening. We have a gig at Rebecca's Restaurant on May the 20th and June the 17th. I am opening for J.P. Cormier on the 12th of May. And I know that Celtic Eclectic's got a couple of gigs over the summer at the Grand Banker. And I think we got a couple at the Mug as well. And Collage has a couple more gigs. We always play the Fête Nationale des Acadiens on the Lunenburg Waterfront. That's on August the 20th. And that's a whole afternoon of Acadian Cajun music. And we're going to have a couple of big special guests this year. So a lot of fun. It's free, open to the public. And we always enjoy doing that. That's just some of the things. And little things.
Just a couple things that you're doing over the summer.
Yeah.
That is absolutely fantastic. And if people want to find out more about you and the various projects that you're involved with, Hank, where can they go to get that information?
My website is out of date. I lost a very good friend who was my webmaster, and I haven't got around to that. I've got too many irons in the fire, realistically. But just give me a call at 902-543-2349, or look on the Facebook site, on Collage Facebook site, or on Facebook, and you'll see where we have gigs happening.
Fantastic. And when this episode goes to air, I'll make sure that people have your contact information so they've got a way to check in and see what you're up to. Unfortunately, we are reaching the very end of the show, so we've got time for one more song, and I would like to know what you are planning to play for us last.
We might as well send you out with a up-tempo tune called Let It Go. And it's all about a lot of bad things happen in life, and you probably hang on to them for a spell, but eventually you have to chuck them. So this song is called Let It Go. We haven't done this one for a while, but we figured we'd finish off with something a bit peppier. I know that you have tried, my friend, to have you take you back again. It seems that you have lost your way, but there will come another day. In every pain there is a plus. Seek it out, you know you must. Do it now and do not delay. It's been years since you've had that spat. Your buddies can't imagine that. The mountain from the molehill made went through the years no one forgave. Take the hatchet, lay it deep, so that the pain will then retreat. Listen to the words that I say, and let it go, let it go, let it go down the line. Let it go, let it go. You can leave the past behind. Let it go, let it go, let it go down the line. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Just let it go. For those of you who lost it all in fires, floods, or gambling halls, sinking ships or acts of God, jobs that vanished with the cod, though friends have passed and friends have stayed, stocks have headed for the grave. For all of you, here's what I pray. You let it go, let it go, let it go down the line. Let it go, let it go. You can leave the past behind. Let it go, let it go, let it go down the line. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Just let it go. Just lie so low, don't add more on. Just toss before the coming dawn. Place the garbage of your life within a mental landfill site. Who needs all the weight and pain if we are going forth again? Yes, my friend, this is the way. Let it go, let it go, let it go down the line. Let it go, let it go. You can leave the past behind. Let it go, let it go, let it go down the line. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Just let it go, let it go, let it go down the line. Let it go, let it go. You can leave the past behind. Let it go, let it go, let it go down the line. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
And that was Let It Go, written by Hank Middleton. I wanted to say to all of you, Hank, Janet, Sharon, Vonda, and John, thank you so much for coming in. Let's give them another round of applause.
Thank you, Stefan, for the opportunity, and please thank Cove FM as well.
Oh, I certainly will. They will know about this. The Conquerall Mills Music Show is hosted, produced, and mixed by Stefan Ramey, and our recording engineer this evening is Adam Fancy. To hear previous episodes of the Conquerall Mills Music Show, please visit our YouTube channel at Conquerall Music. Don't forget to subscribe while you are there to receive updates when new episodes are uploaded. You have been listening to the Conquerall Mills Music Show on 88.7 CKVE Cove FM and online at covefm.com. Please keep it tuned to Cove for Time Machine with Bob McDonald at 9 p.m. Have a great evening.